want to run. You wanted to play defensive, the other team manages to out-aggress. Then we see the all-out slugfest happen, and now we get to this series, and we're just excited to see what actually unfolds. We mentioned beforehand the teams that we're going to see. Change my mind. This is Minpoike's team with Filet, Fried Kitty, and Acrolaws. We already got to see them last week, but let's talk about CGN Gold. Zico, what can people expect with this roster?
Well, CGN Gold is kind of a new and old roster. We've seen some of these members before, all the way in 2017 at BlizzCon. We had Voltariux, which is a Windwalker main, as well as Aritros, a Destro Warlock main, playing on Team Grumble. They were the last seed qualifying for BlizzCon in 2017. And then, of course, you're going to have Gregor, kind of a new face in the scene, Resto Shaman player, going to be their healer, as well as Procket, an Elemental Shaman that we've been seeing before in some of these cups. And their primary comps are Windwalker, Elemental Shaman, Resto Shaman, as well as Windwalker, Destro Warlock, Resto Shaman. We saw Rezus and the guys over in Team Bronze Troll have a lot of success with that last week, so we know it's a strong comp.
How do we feel about the comp this week, though? How does it actually plan on winning, Zico?
Well, I think last week the comp wasn't really that meta because it was a Resto Shaman comp. It was a very druid-heavy meta. A lot of the teams wanted to go late. This is a very aggressive comp. You have a lot of damage with the Windwalker, Destro Warlock. You're going to be putting out tons of damage and good defense as well. I think the comp is better than last week, potentially, just on paper, of course. We'll see how it plays out in practice.
And we look at how they have done so far. They go up against some pretty strong teams. They get a lot of 3-0s. They actually go down to Namdedu is going to be they go down to the Pumpers. The Pumpers was actually the team to knock them down to the lower portion of the bracket. So basically, how today is going to play out, we see 2 elimination series. This is the second one. Then we go and we look at the teams that haven't dropped a series yet. So we drop 2 of those teams down to face elimination, and then we eliminate 2 more teams to round out the day. And then we know who is going to make it all the way to Championship Sunday. These 2 teams in one of those elimination series right now, only Change My Mind or CGN Gold, one of these teams will be able to make it through, and 74% of you stand on the side of Change My Mind. Let's see if CGN can do just that, though, and change your mind after game 1.
We saw Aritros and Voltariux compete at BlizzCon together in 2017, and they're back with a new face, Greggy on Restoration Shaman. I'm curious to see how his healing is in a tournament setting, facing such legends such as Minpoike. Early on, Change My Mind, initiate the crowd control chain. They need to keep it going. They do manage to do it off the back of Minpoike's Cyclone. We see Maledict's now committed as Aritros looks to counter-aggress. Good counter-engage by CGN Gold. Now they just need a tad bit more damage here to force a Cloak of Shadows. Acro dips low. Minpoike tells him to hold on to it as he vanishes away from the fight, denying the kill. Fried Kitty opts to retreat, having now seen the defensive Earthen Wall Totem committed, but he's still overextended. Perfect Shadow Fury timing. Barely closes it out there. Nice play by Aritros. A bit of a panic attack for Change My Mind.
Aritros played that perfectly. As soon as Change My Mind wanted to open up, he dropped the Infernals immediately, instantly using his Mortal Coil as well to deflect that attack, and then using his Dark Soul to force Change My Mind into a very defensive position. And that is not the spot you want to be as a rogue mage team. You want to try to get cooldowns very early on with good crowd control, but with the good Destruction Warlock breaking it up can make it very difficult.
I really want to see this ends up being a Warlock Shaman meta. Minpoike's mana doing better than Greggy's at this point, so likely the late game in favor of Change My Mind, but they need to start getting crowd control. Voltariux denies the Cyclone. Fried Kitty cannot find a Polymorph. The crowd control is completely diffused by CGN Gold. They're going to be stable and now looking to get aggressive. Surprisingly, they're attacking Fried Kitty the Mage. I'm wondering if this is a bait and switch. They want to try and bait Minpoike into switching Life Bloom onto the Mage and then go after the Rogue when Leg Sweep is available. I'd be very surprised to not see Voltariux switch targets. I feel like a bit of a blunder having now committed the Touch of Death. He's just going to race it, try and force an Ice Block. Iron Bark should be enough defense for Fried Kitty, I do believe, as Aritros cannot get in line of sight. He's marching his way forward, now switching his attention to Acro. I would have liked to seen that attack by CGN Gold onto Acro instead of Fried Kitty. Voltariux is still just pummeling away, though, with tons of damage. Maybe he finds an Ice Block by himself. Aritros secures crowd control. Minpoike now Mortal Coils, finally finding line of sight. That Chaos Bolt hits huge. Fried Kitty, is he going to flounder? No. Denies the kill. Temporal Shield bounces him back into the fight. Now, Change My Mind need to start getting aggressive because they've really not been finding any crowd control onto Greggy.
Yeah, Fried Kitty really just tanking a lot of this damage. Frozen Orb does get dropped onto Aritros. Ray of Frost as well. A Cyclone coming in from Minpoike. Minpoike, I don't think has been cycloning as much in this game as it is a very expensive spell. Minpoike actually going to be sneaking away for a drink right now, wants to recover his mana. If he can sit down, this is actually a really good spot for Change My Mind to be in. Fried Kitty just playing very defensive, Polymorph Span on Valteriux. Minpoike manages to escape, and now, Change My Mind, they have a commanding mana lead.
Yeah, at this point, nice entangling root on the Fell Hunter behind the pillar by Minpoike before engaging. Now that will not be able to interrupt as it actually bounces its way back in the fight. I like this switch back to Acro, but now Acro has his defense available. I feel like Valterius wasted the better part of a minute attacking the mage, getting nothing when Acro had nothing to survive it. This is a bit of a targeting selection blunder on the side of CGN Gold. They had a great start and then just threw it away. Acro's defense is now available as he's getting aggressive. Minpoike secured a drink, regenerated his mana to a huge lead against Greggy. Has Changed My Mind, look for maybe a later game kill. Erytros finally counter-aggressing. The Infernals have landed, and these Chaos Bolts with that Shadow Fury could be deadly. He sneaks one in. The counterspell was late, taking half of health. Now Cloak of Shadows is available, but not actually traded. A bit of a disrespect there by Acro, but the pressure is still mounting on the two targets here. Minpoike has to heal two players. He doesn't have the cooldowns to do it. Ice Block forced as a result. Valterius now even switching to Minpoike to add even more pressure on the cooker. Minpoike's got a lot of work to recover.
Yeah, and I don't mind the strategy coming in from CGN Gold. Erytros in the midfield, just pressuring down Acro, just forcing out the Cloak of Shadows. In the meantime, Valteriux is sitting on Fried Kitty. Although they're not, hitting the same target, they're putting out as much pressure as possible and forcing Minpoike to put out more heal over time effects and use more of his precious mana.
We see a switch to Valterius has Changed My Mind to change their targets, but that's going to leave the Destruction Warlock open, and Erytros gates in to get a fear on Minpoike. Nice offensive use of the Demonic Gateway. We typically see that for Warlocks to run away, but yeah, he's actually using it to engage crowd control, and that could be clutch later in the game as Minpoike no longer has Gladiator's Medallion to break out of fear. Both Acro and Fried Kitty are now limited on defense, but if we look over on the side of CGN Gold, Greggy's mana seems to be the desperate situation for their side while they're sitting comfortably on cooldowns. Mana is a big problem. You see blind, Greggy opts to trade the Gladiator's Medallion to break out of that crowd control. Minpoike tries to secure more, but Greggy uses the Demonic Gateway to escape from that crowd control as Minpoike across the map. Really nice play by Greggy, but how much longer can he keep healing? He's basically running on fumes at this point. CGN Gold, they either need to try and get a drink to regenerate that mana or look for a kill soon.
Yeah, dampening has now kicked in, so it's going to become more and more difficult for both of these healers. Erytros still sitting around 60% health, looking for Chaos Bolts, finds two on Fried Kitty, actually getting interrupted. Nicely done, but still Valteriux all over him, putting out massive pressure. This could be the first Ice Block as he gets lower. Ironbark gets traded out, but it's overlapped with the Ice Block, and now Valteriux making a swap on Minpoike to continue the pressure.
Yeah, Valterius constantly switches to the healer, so while a mage is an Ice Block, he can't take any damage. So Valterius, instead of just standing around waiting for it, switches targets and then puts more pressure in a different spot. And now Minpoike has to both worry about himself and his mage, and he's having a difficult time because he committed the Ironbark on top of Ice Block. There's no reason to make that trade. That's definitely a miscommunication or maybe a panic attack from the pressure of CGN, but now they're down 2 cooldowns in the bank. Greggy caught into a polymorph though as Fried Kitty tries to carry the game. Acro still is on the back foot. Minpoike is spending a lot of mana to heal that back, and the mana is slowly evening out on that front. The advantage that Changed My Mind set up is potentially going to be lost. Chaos Bolt's now flying. There's no ice blocks. Fried Kitty ducks around the corner with Minpoike, but they left Acro out in center field. He's going to Shadow Step, deny Erytros' pressure, but Valterius is the one hard carrying.
Yep, Fists of Fury putting out huge damage onto Acro with no evasion available. He's going to just tank all this Windwalker damage. Double Mortal Coil coming in, incapacitate now on Minpoike, and once again, CGN Gold, they have the mana lead. There's a Hex on Minpoike, gets dispelled by Fried Kitty. Fried Kitty still sitting on his Icy Veins, but with no ice blocks left, he's going to be such a vulnerable target in the later game.
Greggy's been doing a great job. It's the first time we've seen him in a tournament, paired up with 2 BlizzCon competitors, and he's really taken it to Change My Mind. We do see an attack onto Valterius. He's going to get aggressive, getting a triple stun. If Erytros can get in line of sight of this, it will be absolute devastation, but he's just not able to get in line of sight. It's all riding on Valterius. Touch of Death explodes, tons of damage. Minpoike exchanges, but it's at the cost of basically the rest of his mana, and this swapping from Valterius is really paying off. Minpoike has to heal 2 targets, but he timed his Innervate, making that big expensive heal Wild Growth completely free. Now looking to sneak away and get a drink. Minpoike with perfect reactions. Nobody is stopping it. They don't know where he is. Rain of Fire misses. Minpoike gets a ton of mana, and Change My Mind take the lead.
Yeah, Changed My Mind in a commanding position now, but Acro still a little bit vulnerable with no evasion. He does have the Cloak of Shadows, but doesn't want to use it too late here. Can't be greedy, especially with Minpoike having such a huge mana lead. They just need to hold on a little bit longer. Aerotross now into a kidney shot. Acro and Fried Kitty looking for some damage. Voltairix still all over Fried Kitty, trying to slow him down just a little bit, but this mana lead from Change My Mind really gives him such a big advantage.
Oh, that Nether Ward on the Maledict by Aerotross might just carry the game as they go for the kill. Fried Kitty doesn't have much to stay in this. A defensive blind by Acro. A quick reaction, realizing that the late game is in the bag. They've got the mana lead. Let's use our biggest crowd control defensively to stay in it a little bit longer. Now Fried Kitty secures Polymorphs. Aerotross is suddenly alone. CGN Gold battled it out, but Minpoike's opportunities to sneak away and regenerate mana have kept his team in the fight to this point, and potentially enough to close. Voltarius is doing whatever he can to create pressure, but there's so much more mana in the tank for Minpoike. He jumps into the fight, bashes up Voltarius. Aerotross is getting pressured, but he does manage to sneak in a fear. Acro needs to be careful. He's got no Gladiator's Medallion. Fists of Fury. He's going to trade Cloak of Shadows, immediately realizing that situation. They have the lead. They just need to stay alive a tad bit longer. Although Chaos Bolt is always a threat, they still haven't completely secured the game.
Yeah, Acro with the Vendetta coming up in around 20 seconds has the Smoke Bomb as well. Aerotross with no Trinket going to be very vulnerable. I think CGN Gold, they realize it. Greggy and Aerotross are just going to be standing on top of each other. Don't want to get too separated, sitting on the gateway. Full Kidney Shot does get dropped. Fried Kitty looking for some damage, throws in a flurry. Blinks in, looking for some crowd control by Voltairix with counter pressure. Gets the double Fist of Fury into a leg sweep. And now Acro and Fried Kitty could be in some trouble. Aerotross still rotting down low. Greggy, no mana left whatsoever. And at 25% dampening, I think it's going to be too much for him to handle.
Aerotross, what are you going to do? Your healer's in a polymorph. He can't save you. He's completely alone. Minpoike stuns him up, but Acro can't make it back to the target. Voltarius MVP play there. Keeps Acro off of Aerotross for a couple of seconds, maybe buying him time for a comeback. Acro is low, the Infernals have landed. That's gonna boost Aerotross's damage. If there was a chance for a comeback, it would be now, but there's really not much left. Greggy saves the day, buys Aerotross more time. He manages to sneak in a Chaos Bolt, despite the huge mana lead. If another Chaos Bolt connects, Acro surely will go down. He's forced to retreat away. CGN Gold stay alive.
Yeah, nice counter pressure there. Touch of Death was used by Voltairix, forcing Acro defensive. That was the only thing CGN Gold could do with the Infernal Stun, as well as that Touch of Death. Changed my mind. They had to back off just a little bit. Aerotross looking for a Fear, and a Chaos Bolt gets interrupted. Nicely done by Fried Kitty. Greggy actually regenerated a little bit of mana there. Minpoike once again going to be using his Innervate to top off his team. Everyone from Change My Mind is stable in this situation. Actually, everyone in the game is stable at this point, but Chaos Bolt still connecting onto Acro as he looks to reconnect onto Aerotross.
All right, they're going to switch back to Fried Kitty, but he's already got Cold Snap and Ice Block, which basically means he's got 2 Ice Blocks. He can go immune to damage twice, and I can't help but feel that the swapping of targets by CGN Gold is just completely incorrect. They go after the most durable target every time and waste so much time going through the defense. For example, here, Fried Kitty can just easily Ice Block, trade and immune the damage, then look to counter aggress. And if they try to switch back to Acro, he'll have Cloak of Shadows, and the target selection of CGN Gold has been a bit all over the place. And if they had been more nailed down in terms of strategy on their targets, I think they actually may have been able to close this game out earlier.
Yeah, Fried Kitty uses the Icy Veins. What's he going to get done with it? Doesn't look like he's able to do anything, just running behind the pillar, summoning a Water Elemental, really not finding the damage. And that is such a crazy offensive cooldown for the Frost Mage to just be sort of throwing away in that situation. I don't think that was ideal for Change My Mind. Acro still taking a little bit of damage. I don't mind Voltairix swapping all over the place, forcing him into point game. Nice roll kick by Voltairix as well, finding the damage. Aerotross forced to use the Unending Resolve as Greggy caught into the bash. It doesn't look like there's going to be any follow-up crowd control. No threat of Polymorph. Aerotross getting lower. Fried Kitty has to back off. He does have 1 Ice Block left, but Minpoike is spending so much mana to keep both Acro and Fried Kitty alive.
I don't know how Greggy's done it. He's healed with basically 0 mana for this long, but it may not be enough as they try to kill Fried Kitty. He's got 1 Ice Block left, but he's holding on to it. Aerotross dip slow Greggy. How are you going to do this, man? You got nothing left, and he still just hangs on that Ring of Peace. Prevents Acro, but Acro moves over, gets crowd control, and secures the kill. Change My Mind, stay in it off the back of Minpoike's drinks throughout the fight. Great play by Change My Mind.
And we need to talk about why Minpoike was able to get these drinks as well. I think, Zico, before we even jumped into this one, it may have been before the break, you say, you look at this composition that CGN Gold has. It looked strong in the last tournament when we saw some other teams use it, and today we expect it to be able to bring even more pressure, set pace even more. And here, Minpoike is like, I'm just going to hang out. I can easily get away and get these drinks. Why does that happen?
Honestly, it's at the mistakes of Aritros. Aritros, if he doesn't miss that Rain of Fire earlier on in the match, I don't think Changing My Mind wins this game. I mean, Greggy, without a single drink, manages to keep this game going to 40% dampening here. And Minpoike, he had not just one, not two, but 3 full drinks during this match, and he was still out of mana towards the end of this one. Honestly, Minpoike just put his team on his back, got nice drink after nice drink, and that's the tricky thing about those Night Elves as well. If the Night Elf Druid manages to sneak out, you're not paying attention for a second, he will just go invisible and drink in stealth, and you will kind of be left guessing, well, where did he go? Where did he go? And if you miss that Rain of Fire, you're not going to be able to put him in combat and stop that drink. He's going to come out with full mana, and that's just going to give the team of Change My Mind just a big win condition, where essentially they're no longer playing the rogue mage where you just need to win. With the crowd control, you can just do damage and slowly but surely just win because you have that big mana lead.
Yeah, Sid, I think this is kind of what we can expect today. We've already seen how much pressure you can get out in this current patch in our last series, but if you do give one of these druids like Minpoike, right, when we even saw the changes last week when we got here for our first cup of the year, we go, okay, somebody like Minpoike is so well positioned because we see the strength of the druids. Now we see a good druid in this patch who says, okay, wait, a team made a mistake. They don't put on enough pressure. I have an alternate line of play, and that's when the drinks may really come into play.
I mean, I think it's of utmost importance that you look to regenerate your mana as frequently and as possible since the recent mana regeneration nerfs, and Asgaroth wasn't able to find those opportunities in the last series. He played a much more different playstyle of Druid and a bit more mid-ground or aggressive, whereas Minpoike just stuck to his roots, for a better lack of a better word in that phrase, and was able to play the long game and just focus on defense and positioning himself well to constantly sneak in drinks and regenerate mana. Obviously off the back of Aritros' missed Rain of Fire, could have been denied that, and if he had 0 mana at the end of the fight, it still could have been their game. CGN, their targeting was also just a bit all over the place. They pulled everything from Acro at the start, then they started attacking the mage for the next minute and a half, and then they go back to the rogue after the rogue has all of his defense back. So they needed to just nail down what their plan was to find a kill earlier, and I think they could have taken it.
What do we think wins right now? Is it the idea of going aggressive, making sure that druids don't have these opportunities, or do you think that there is the idea of still maybe trying to go for some of these later games, Ved?
Well, I think it really depends. In the first series we saw today, it just seemed like it was really impossible for the druid to go Asgaroth, to go sneak away for drinks with the Fell Hunter on him, so they had no choice but to play hyper-aggressive in that matchup. Right here, it seems like Minpoike, he's finding these moments throughout the game where he actually can Shadow Meld, he can escape and reset his mana. If those drinks were being denied, I feel like Minpoike would have no choice but to have to play aggressive, because I don't think they do win the late game unless Minpoike gets 3 full drinks off during the game.
Now, when we're going to see dollar answers here, but I do want to say one last thing about our first game of the series. Do you think that this is one of those moments where you go, look, Change My Mind just looked incredible. Minpoike is able to get away for these drinks, or is it all based off of a lot of mistakes coming in on the side of CGN Gold?
I don't know. CGN Gold, of course, they made a few mistakes not stopping the drinks. Changed My Mind, it really just came down to Minpoike sneaking away for drinks. I think, Fried Kitty and Acro, they did a good job, not necessarily an incredible job in the match to actually close out the game, but it really just came down to Minpoike outlasted on mana, and eventually the rest of the Shaman just couldn't heal through it.
Small map now, Zico. Where's Minpoike going to hide?
There's not that many places on Dalaran Sewers, of course, to hide, but if I had to guess, I would say behind that box where the stairs are, all the way in that little corner behind there, that's where he's going to be hiding. Of course, CGN Gold is going to have a lot easier time stopping these drinks on a smaller map, which is, of course, why they selected it. And also, if Change My Mind gets forced to run back on those Infernals, you're going to find opportunities for Voltarius maybe to go inside there, get those triple leg sweep combos that we saw, I think, at one point in the previous match. And also Aritros with that Shadow Fury AoE radius, going to be able to catch multiple members behind that box. So this is a great map for CGN Gold. And honestly, I think CGN Gold have a really good chance at winning this. They just need to stop the drinks. Offensively, I thought they looked good. They were putting in a lot of pressure, maybe a little bit too much target switching, but overall, I liked what they were doing. Aritros had some very, very nice setups onto Acro, forcing them, just shutting down any offense from Change My Mind. So if they can keep playing that offensive and just stop a few of those drinks, I think CGN Gold is going to look to tie this one up.
So let's say that they clean up the targeting, and let's say that they do stop the drinks, right? So now we have a very different different game if we kind of go down that road here in Dalaran Sewers. How does Change My Mind have to adapt if that happens? We talk about in the first series, we see a team with a Druid having to go very aggressive because they're not able to get the drink. So then, what do you think Change My Mind needs to do here if CGN accomplishes their goal?
I'm not sure exactly, because like we kind of talked about, Cyclone is a really risky spell for the Restoration Druid. It costs a lot of mana. That's going to put you very far behind quickly. If you're looking to close out the game, obviously it's an incredible tool for crowd control, freezing people's HP or crowd controlling a healer. That could be something that they decide to do in this matchup, but for CGN Gold, they have so many stops with the Destruction Warlock, the Mortal Coils, the Shadow Fury, the Infernal Stuns, Volteriax with his Incapacitate as well. It's going to be really difficult for Minpoike to play aggressive if he has to.
CGN has a fantastic comp here today with the changes that we have seen. We expect it to be very strong. Minpoike was able to play out of his mind in the last game. Will he be able to do it again? Will Change My Mind find themselves on match point?
Change My Mind. They got 4th place in Cup number 1, and this is Minpoike's redemption here today. He faces elimination in the lower bracket, but carried the team on his back. Although now in game number 2, Erytros has snuck in a lot of crowd control. Gets denied on some follow-up by Fried Kitty, but Chaos Bolt's now flying in towards his face. They stack up for a double leg sweep. Bit of a mistake here by Change My Mind. This could cost them a lot of defense early on, and it will. Ice Block Force within seconds of this match starting. The crowd control chain just keeps going as they switch some damage to Acro, and CGN Gold once again have the early game lead. They need to not throw this away.
Yeah, they got Evasion, Cloak of Shadows, Fried Kitty actually trinketed right before the Ice Block as well, so overlapping those key defensives. Now he can't trinket out, and Temporal Shield at high HP, if he gets caught in a leg sweep again, could be devastating, especially Volteriax having that touch of death still available. CGN Gold definitely in the driver's seat of game number 2.
Well-timed Temporal Shield there by Fried Kitty, soaking up 2 Chaos Bolts and then healing them back almost instantaneously. Volteriax now leading the charge with Touch of Death. That Ring of Peace perfectly placed, denying any polymorphs from Fried Kitty. Nice moves by Volteriax, but Erytros is too far away. Maybe he should have dropped a gateway to go aggressive. We often see Warlocks use it defensively, but I think in this specific instance that he can afford to use it aggressively and get on top of his opponents if he was there to back up Volteriax on that nice play. That was easily the second Ice Block of the game, and then if that happens one more time, it's the end of the match. Now Erytros pushing forward, securing crowd control on the healer Minpoike, denying any heals. Volteriax leads the charge with just raw pressure. Fried Kitty soaks it up with Temporal Shield and actually just launches his Maledicts at Volteriax. A bit of a misplay on Fried Kitty's part there. That's a very important trinket to just not simply throw away. Minpoike jumps right on top of Fried Kitty for some reason and actually just lands himself into a double stun and maybe a second Ice Block. This is big mistakes by Change My Mind.
Yeah, so one thing I'm noticing in this game is Minpoike does not have the support to help Fried Kitty as much as we'd normally see from a Rogue Mage Druid. He's really not throwing out the Cyclone, so Volteriax basically has free reign on Fried Kitty, and unfortunately for him, he's not able to build up the damage that he needs in this matchup, and they're going to have to play for the long game if they want to close it out.
I just want to see CGN Gold just run them down. They pick the small map, try and push them over, get a gateway aggressively maybe on the top. We see Volteriax get swapped to here as Change My Mind have to find a new target. Although if they're left in midfield, Erytros has ramped his damage up quite a lot. These Chaos Bolts could be devastating. He does get counterspelled. Good defensive play here by Fried Kitty. They need to stall these Chaos Bolts out for a few more seconds. They drop Smoke Bomb on Erytros to deny him from Chaos Bolting the Mage Fried Kitty. That's a nice next level defensive play by Acro, as it seems to be their only win condition at the moment is to try and outmana Greggy. Polymorph landed. No damage. They sap out of the polymorph, but really not going to be resulting in too much here, I don't think. And Minpoike has managed to sneak away. They have to deny it. Volteriax tries to, but he's just snared up too much. Minpoike managed to at least regenerate some amount of mana in that exchange and continue their advantage.
Yeah, Greggy did a great job there, throwing down a totem onto Minpoike to stop him from drinking, doing it once again. So MVP Greggy in this matchup, but Minpoike, he still has a mana lead. Fried Kitty just trying to do whatever he can. He's just kiting away. It's basically a 1v1 between Acro and Erytros, and then another 1v1 between Volteriax and Fried Kitty. Both casters just trying to avoid as much damage from these melee as possible, really limit their uptime and avoid their damage output. Greggy having to play a little bit more offensive on him. Minpoike it actually helped with potentially offensive purges and wind shears onto Fried Kitty to shut him down. Now Erytros actually deflects Acro with some Chaos Bolts as he's forced to run back to Minpoike's line of sight. Double Shadow Fury coming in. Another Chaos Bolt connects on Fried Kitty. Is there any crowd control on Minpoike? Minpoike doesn't look like any available just yet.
Oh.
Once again, Voltairix really having a difficult time landing.
They dispelled Minpoike's Innervate instantly. You cannot use Innervate out in the open against a Shaman Warlock. They will dispel that and remove his bonus free healing. That may be a way for CGN Gold to stay in the mana fight. Voltairix has decided, all right, I'm going to attack Minpoike, I guess, moving into the late game and try and burn his mana even quicker, but he is running Guardian Affinity. Gets caught out of bear form, actually. Nice moves by Voltairix. Fried Kitty, though, is there to deny the kill. Minpoike in a bit of a panic attack on that swap, committed a lot of his defense, and if he's caught within the next minute or so, could be his life. We do finally see counter aggression as Greggy places that Earthen Wall Totem. Minpoike goes for a drink, gets denied by Greggy's Earthbind Totem. Greggy really on point at the moment here, both defensively and offensively, but inevitably, there's just a huge lead for Change My Mind, and CGN Gold, they're going to have to do something miraculous soon.
Yeah, they need to find the pressure. They need to converge on one target in this matchup, but Aerotross is being shut down so much by this Assassination Rogue paired with the Frost Mage. Vendetta has been used. Now Aerotross could be in a little bit of trouble. Greggy's going to have to heal him up, channeling out a very efficient healing wave, but he gets cheap shot on it. Nicely done by Acro, setting up his team with that Banish. Now Aerotross all by himself got into a kick. Still Greggy into the Polymorph. Can Fried Kitty find the follow-up? Crowd control. Minpoike still just playing in the back, trying to keep his team hotted up so they can continue to play aggressive.
Aerotross trying to set up for the kill, gets denied by Fried Kitty. Voltairix, though, keeping pressure on Acro. Greggy, nice totem snipes on Minpoike throughout this fight, denying drinks, getting crowd control for his team. He's definitely looking good for his first tournament debut, really, with both Aerotross and Voltairix. Unfortunately, Minpoike's just got the upper hand in terms of mana regeneration and awareness to constantly look for drinks. Perhaps Greggy should look for those opportunities more as well in this specific series. Aerotross pushes forward. They have to get in line of sight. They have to back Voltairix up during these moments. They could easily be forcing ice blocks if Aerotross could get in line of sight. He just does not have the mobility to do so. He finally has that demonic gateway up top, and Minpoike has snuck away looking for a drink. Voltairix charges over to deny the regeneration. They have to deny Minpoike's drinks. If he's able to regenerate back to full mana, it will easily be no opportunity for them to win this game, but they've done it. They denied it, and now mana is evening out, and CGN Gold may be able to crawl back into this game.
Voltairix has actually found a new target in this match. He's just sitting on Minpoike, trying to get some pressure, forcing him.
That gateway.
Very defensive. Now Aerotross gates in offensively, gets caught in the kidney shot. Acro trying to shut down this pressure on him, and Minpoike in bear form still just trying to kite away, trying to create distance. The one downside to a Destruction Warlock is you're very limited on mobility. Fried Kitty does not want to mess with that Chaos Bolt, deciding to trade out his Ice Block, but still Voltairix, this pressure on Minpoike is insane.
I mean, Minpoike is struggling. Voltairix is carrying the team. Fried Kitty Polymorphs, nice dispel by Greggy. Good fears to interrupt the follow-up. Aerotross is just Chaos Bolting whoever walks in front of him, and we see pressure on Minpoike constantly by Voltairix. It's creating split pressure. Minpoike is having to spend a lot more mana as a result. I think it's definitely a good strategy adaptation by CGN Gold. Mana has started to even out. Minpoike cannot afford to be dispelled on this next Innervate. He activates it. Do they manage to dispel it? If that Lightning Bolt stops glowing, they have dispelled it. Doesn't look like they can. Minpoike in a great position to deny it from being dispelled. He gets free healing for these seconds and can secure more of a lead here as dampening ramps up. It's going to become almost impossible for the healers to continue fighting, especially at critical mass in terms of mana. Minpoike sneaks away. Voltairix needs to stop this. I don't think he knows where Minpoike is, and Minpoike goes back to full mana. Easy close here for Change My Mind. This game should just be in the bag. Greggy sits down for a drink. Fried Kitty gets denied on stopping it, but Acro is there to get it either way. And now at this point, what is Greggy going to do? Maybe just kill the mage. That's their only option, is get a kill now or nothing.
Yeah, Fried Kitty with no ice blocks left, still a vulnerable target. Aerotross gates away outside of the Comet Storm and the Frozen Orb, so Fried Kitty missing out on a little bit of damage there. Unfortunately, Aerotross does get interrupted, but he managed to avoid most of the incoming damage. At 20% dampening, it's still going to be scary for both of these teams. And Aerotross connecting these Chaos Bolts onto Acro is still really scary. Does have the evasion and Cloak of Shadows if he needs to. Minpoike getting locked out. Still decent pressure here for CGN Gold, but it's just so much easier with Shadow Melt for Minpoike to escape, get in cap form, get these drinks off than it is for Greggy.
All right, if Aerotross can stay alive for 50 more seconds, that green icon there will be available, and that is Call Infernal, and it does tons of damage. Another 44 seconds. Voltairix has 27 seconds before liftoff on that Touch of Death. If both Aerotross and Voltairix can combo those abilities together, Fried Kitty does not have enough defense to sustain it, so they need to stay alive to that point, but Fried Kitty Kitty obviously isn't going to make that easy. He's got crowd control secured on Greggy. He can't heal, but there's not enough damage on Erytros to find the kill. They managed to secure double leg sweep, another defensive smoke bomb, denying Erytros from casting spells. Acro is playing more of a late game dampening rogue mage style, and it's paying off. I mean, they've had the lead for the entire series. Erytros still has that window, 10 more seconds. There's already pressure on Acro. If they can create pressure in multiple points, then Poike could easily fall over. Infernal's available in 5. Touch of Death now. They need to target Fried Kitty on this assault. If they target anybody else, it's a huge mistake. Voltarius knows they can get the kill here if they go for it. Infernals have landed. This is their opportunity. It's kill Fried Kitty now or nothing.
Yeah, they're actually on Poike though, I believe. And now Acro rotting down. All 3 members are in trouble. Greggy almost completely tapped on mana. Erytros still has the unending resolve, but that Dark Soul's going to empower his damage quite a bit. Acro realizing it, in a lot of trouble. No evasion, no Cloak of Shadows, defensive blind on Voltarius once again, just trying to buy Poike as much time as possible to keep him alive. Greggy charging in, he realizes it's now or never. He has no mana left to keep Erytros alive. With this Infernals, they need to make one final push to try to close out the game.
I mean, they don't have the cooldowns to trade. Fried Kitty was able to evade it, but maybe now they can switch to Acro. He's a lot more susceptible. He can't do damage while running either. He's on the back foot, and Poike's trying to stabilize so they can just turn this around, but they're in desperation mode. Polymorphs onto both targets to just stay alive, and they can't kill someone in a polymorph. It heals them back to full. They've actually managed to stay alive in this game maybe long enough, and Poike once again sneaks away for a drink. There's no denial. They have to deny those. They decide instead to go for a kill at this point on him, and Poike once again managing to pull at least his Gladiator's Medallion. He won't be able to break out of crowd control if Erytros can sneak in for a fear. I'd love to see just an offensive demonic gateway. Get in there, get a Chaos Bolt, get it clean, and get a kill. Erytros gets denied on it. Poike jumps across, potentially Greggy sitting down for a drink of his own, but just not able to find it. Change My Mind have been shutting down Greggy's drinks, and CGN Gold need to respond the same because they're really throwing the series away otherwise.
Yeah, but to be fair, I mean, it's so much easier for Change My Mind than Poike with Shadow Meld at any moment could just drop out of combat and start sipping on that water, especially in cat form with stealth becomes so scary. Fried Kitty still vulnerable here. Temporal Shield does get used, trying to redirect or deflect some of this damage. He will get healed up quite a bit, and Poike holding on to the Iron Bark. Acro still just weaving in and out of line of sight, trying to keep up the pressure onto Erytros. Nice little defensive ring of peace there by Voltarius as he comes back, trying to keep the pressure up onto Acro. Vendetta now available for Change My Mind, and at 40% dampening, that damage is devastating on Erytros.
Pre-Earthen Wall Totem here by Greggy, deflecting this attack, and Fried Kitty being pressured. No Ice Block. Voltarius looking to carry this. There's no defense for 10 more seconds. 10 more seconds, Fried Kitty. That's all he needs. He's going to blink away to safety and manage to stay in the fight just a tad bit longer. And I want to say Greggy MVP here, keeping the game going to 42% dampening on no mana against Poike, constantly resetting his mana throughout the entire fight. Finally, though, Acro has found his target with tons of damage. Should maybe even be able to close this game by himself, even if Fried Kitty can't support. I mean, what is Greggy really going to do? Not very much. Just a couple Riptides and healing waves every couple seconds that his mana retains itself, but it may not be enough. And Erytros is trading defensives quite late. Finally, an aggressive smoke bomb. They blind Greggy as he moves in. They try and polymorph the trinket, but they actually mistime it. And that mistiming might be an opportunity for CGN Gold to put themselves back in the match. They need 7 more seconds on that Spearlink Totem. 6 more seconds. Infernals have landed. They're forced to retreat away. Spearlink Totem, 1 more second. Now available for Greggy. If Greggy pulls this off, it's absolutely insane, but they might be able to.
Yeah, Ice Block forced onto Fried Kitty. Now he's going to be vulnerable for the next 30 seconds. Acro into a leg sweep, and Poike has to trinket out as well. All 3 members from Change My Mind, they don't have their trinkets available. Acro still incredibly vulnerable. No evasion, no Cloak of Shadows. Erytros trying to take him down. Voltarius all over him, and Poike has to keep him alive so they can just survive a little bit longer. They can take Erytros down. Full kidney shot now on Erytros as Fried Kitty pushes in, looking for game-winning crowd control and damage. Double Mortal Coil. Erytros deflects, still looking for a little bit more damage. Fear on Fried Kitty. Acro,
that Chaos Bolt!
Shadow Fury Chaos Bolt lands on Acro, but he manages to survive with the faint damage reduction, but it is not enough, and CGN Gold, they hang on. Greggy heals through. Rogue Mage at 50% dampening, allowing his team to turn the game around.
Absolutely crazy performance here. I can't believe Gregor managed to survive and keep his team going to 50% dampening, but a lot of it is also off the back of Aritros and of course Voltarius putting out so much pressure, forcing Fried Kitty, forcing Acro to retreat, giving him a little bit of breathing room, reducing some of that incoming pressure. It's just a team effort for sure, but the map also, of course, paying dividends here. Aritros gonna be a lot less mobile as a Warlock, and of course a smaller map is gonna help him out a lot here, getting these Chaos Bolts off. On Nagra and Arena Acros, he kind of just shadow step back to his side of the map. The Frost Mage is going to be slowing that Warlock even more, make it very difficult for him to actually be effective. But on a map like Dalaran, Aritros is always going to be able to tab over to Fried Kitty or to Acro, or even to Mimpoika sometimes, and find those Chaos Bolts when it counts and just tie up the series.
Already another tied series here today. We're going to be hopping to a quick break. When we return, who is going to be able to swing this matchup in their favor? Who is going to be able to put themselves on match point? Change My Mind versus CGN. Before we even got into the series, we said CGN had a very strong comp. We got to see it hit its potential on a smaller map, but now that may change. Zico, do we expect the map to be one of the main points of contention here throughout this series?
I think the map is definitely going to be a very, very big factor. I don't see either of these teams really swapping off of these comps, but I do see Change My Mind going to be taking a commanding lead once we get into the Tolveron and as well as the Ashamain's Fall, which are most likely going to be their next selected maps. It's going to be very easy for Minpoik, of course, to be able to sneak off on those maps, and there it is. Change My Mind going to be selecting that Ashamain's Fall. I like that they don't go for the Tolveron pick right away, because it can backfire if a team tries to turtle too much on that map. So I like that they go with Ashamain's, try to grab a quick win there, and then see where it goes after that.
You know, in our last series, it all did come down to the swing matchup. This is going to be that game again. For anyone who doesn't fully understand how exactly the format does create these advantages sometimes based off the blind pick, what exactly are we experiencing here?
Well, basically because CGN Gold won that last game, it changed my mind. They get the opportunity to select a map. Then CGN Gold can select whatever composition that they want, and then, of course, Change My Mind, knowing the map and the composition, they get an opportunity to select whatever they want, whatever comp they feel is best in the situation. And once again, they're going to be sticking with the Rogue Mage Druid, and it's going to be important that they win this game if they want to have that swing match in their favor.
I don't think we're going to see any composition changes from either side. I think it's the maps that they're going to have to try and play off of. On this large map, it's obviously easier for Minpoik to sneak away and find opportunities to generate. There's also a lot of open field that a Destruction Warlock would just love to have to cast Chaos Bolts into his opponents. Eritros playing a lot more cheeky at the start of Game 3, using an aggressive Demonic Gateway to get on top of his opponents, but he is receiving quite a bit of punishment for it as we see a Smoke Bomb both interrupting Chaos Bolt and denying heals. Acro's Smoke Bombs have been on point throughout this series, extending the match and executing for kills, but Eritros has finally found an opportunity to get open field advantage, connecting a Chaos Bolt to Fried Kitty, who then immediately ducks around the corner, forcing them to switch targets to Acro. A little bit left behind, but Minpoik is there with open arms to catch him.
Yeah, unfortunately, Acro, with his Vendetta, really didn't pull out too many defensive cooldowns, looking for a little bit of damage on Valteriux, but Valteriux has his port in a very nice defensive position. I don't really see him dying in this game until very late, but at that point, it's just too risky to leave Eritros open, so I think they're just trying to get a little bit of damage out onto Valteriux, control him when they can. The main target's still going to be Eritros in this game. Acro now getting swapped to Valteriux, trying to pressure him down with the Fist of Furies. Wenda's proc. And that's going to be increasing his damage onto Eritros as Eritros looks to reconnect to the pillar, put a kidney shot on Valteriux, and I feel like they're wasting some time here on this Windwalker mode.
If we take stock of cooldowns initially in this fight, Greggy is the one who is falling slightly behind, having activated his Glider's Medallion, which means he can't get out of crowd control for another 50 seconds at this point. If they can get a Polymorph onto him, deny healing, and then execute damage onto a different target, it's likely that Change My Mind could find a kill or at least force powerful defensive cooldowns. So Fried Kitty could be the initiator on that front, but it does appear to be the case that Change My Mind are staying very far away from the team of CGN Gold, so that Minpoik can do this. Get away, jump and stealth, but Greggy with a snipe Earthbind Totem. Greggy really MVP here on that Restoration Shaman, despite being behind all games, still finds some opportunities, but Minpoik immediately then sneaks to the other side of the pillar, and he's constantly dragging attention of the team of CGN Gold, and every time they deny his drink, they stop doing damage. That then allows Minpoik more opportunities to just safely and comfortably recover, and this is a good map selection if that strategy is what they're going to employ throughout the fight. They need to make sure that they keep implementing it throughout, because at this point Minpoik is still behind on mana.
Yeah, I want to see CGN Gold play hyper aggressive on to Change My Mind, just make sure Minpoik can never really afford to get away and get those drinks like you were saying, because they do have a massive mana lead. Acro forced to use his Vanish Gladiator Safeguard Trinket, that blue shield you can see on Acro. It's a lifeline if he does get too low. It's a trinket that does proc. Full Hex gets snuck in there by Greggy, dispelled immediately by Fried Kitty. Now Acro, Fried Kitty's still in a little bit of trouble, but I feel like Eritros, Valteriux, and Greggy, they're going to be so stable in this game until a little bit later on in dampening. Maybe not, though. Interrupt now on Greggy. Eritros forced to use his Unending Resolve to tank through this damage. This is an opportunity for Change My Mind, as Acro still has that Vendetta cooldown available.
But they may want to focus on just surviving. Eritros counter engages. Infernals have landed. Acro forced to retreat away. He's going to respect that Destruction Warlock territory. He does not want to be caught with a Chaos Bolt to the face, but now they're pinned down in the backline. Greggy has a huge mana lead over Minpoik. If they can manage to dispel his Innervate, which is available, and deny these drinks. Yes, Voltarius is denying Minpoike a lot better here in Game 3. I think CGN Gold can take this whole series if they deny Minpoike's drinking throughout the fight. He's constantly retreating across the map. Erytros has to create pressure whilst this is going on. Voltarius is constantly denying it and looking good so far in this match. There's the innervate timed by Minpoike. It's glowing below his frame, but no one's able to dispel it. He's getting free healing off the back of that, potentially tying his mana up at a later point in this fight. Acro now finally pulling the trigger on his Vendetta, looking for that opening he created earlier, but Greggy is more than ready to deny the kill. Earthen Wall Totem placed and soaking up this entire attack from Acro.
Yeah, but like you kind of said, Sid, when Minpoike is constantly running away and looking for those drinks, Voltarius, Erytros, and Greggy, they're forced to basically chase him, get off Fried Kitty, and now all of a sudden Fried Kitty is being freed up. So it's a diversion tactic a little bit here from Change My Mind as well, really slowing down the pressure and damage that CGN Gold has.
Right, interrupt on Chaos Bolt by Acro, denying some damage here as Minpoike jumps across the map. Who's going to deny the drink? Do they know where he is? Yes, Greggy with an Earthbind Totem snipe once again. Acro in the meantime trying to catch Erytros as Greggy left his side, but not able to find any opportunity. Fried Kitty actually finding a polymorph with Cyclone on Voltarius. Good cross crowd control, but Erytros counter engages with the double Mortal Coil, holding both players in place. No Chaos Bolt. Both teams struggling really to figure out what they want to do. It's so important that they stop Minpoike from drinking. They catch him out of bear form, disrespecting a bit, but Fried Kitty backs him up. No Barkskin trade here by Minpoike. Bold decision. Erytros now falls behind. Greggy makes a trade to stay in it. They've got Minpoike out in midfield. Maybe they can kill Fried Kitty. Nice fear timing by Erytros. Fried Kitty blinks very far away. Double Maledicts forces an ice block. Nice moves by CGN Gold as they stay in this series.
Yeah, and so far CGN Gold, they have denied every single drink attempt from Minpoike. They need to keep doing it. They have to pay attention to this because if Minpoike can ever escape, it's going to be devastating for them in the long game. But they can continuously shut it down and keep up the pressure that they have in this game. I could easily see them winning this game and the entire series. Erytros now looking for his Chaos Bolt onto Fried Kitty. Where is Minpoike? That is the question, but he's on the same pillar as Greggy. Greggy's easily able to shut him down, but just watch for Minpoike constantly trying to create distance, create space, escape, and look for these drinks.
I mean, mana is still equal, and we've just hit dampening, and I would say that Change My Mind are behind on cooldowns, and CGN Gold are managing to pull this map actually in their advantage by denying Minpoike throughout the fight. If they can keep it up a little bit longer, I think they're actually going to be able to close this and put Change My Mind on match point. We already saw Tempo Storm, BlizzCon champion, sent home. Now potentially Minpoike as well. The newcomers in this tournament are definitely showing that they've got what it takes to be champions. Voltarius snagging in a double stun, trying to force an ice block out from Fried Kitty. It gets denied. Good response by Minpoike, although at 11% dampening, maybe not enough defense. Looks to be the case. Acro saves the day, stunning up Erytros, denying any pressure from him. Mana slowly but surely becoming more in favor of Greggy. If Minpoike can't sneak away, it's not looking good. Tons of Chaos Bolts. This could be an ice block, and it is. 2 ice blocks out of the way. Those are the major defensive cooldowns for Fried Kitty. Now Voltarius switches targets. Minpoike doesn't have much to deal with this. He activates Innervate at least to make the healing free, but even still, their Demonic Gateway in aggressive. They know that they've got Change My Mind on the ropes. They just need to stay on top of them.
Yeah, Minpoike manages to escape across the map. Where is Voltarius? Greggy and Erytros now forced defensive. Minpoike sitting down for a drink, but he left Fried Kitty all alone. They could take advantage of this and take him down. Minpoike can't afford to sit down. Fried Kitty in almost execute range. Ironbark connects as well as the Temporal Shield. Fried Kitty manages to stabilize, but that pressure forces Minpoike to come back in the fight and not allow him to sneak off for those drinks.
Instead of stopping the drink, they go for the kill, but they didn't get it. Now they're on the back foot from aggressive positioning, and Minpoike sneaks away again. Voltarius doesn't find him. He's hiding on the left corner. Voltarius doesn't know where he is as Minpoike sits in Prowl, and this is going to be a complete mana reset for Change My Mind. CGN Gold were on top of it here in game number 3, but even just one opportunity from Minpoike resets the fight. CGN Gold are on the ropes to get a kill. Greggy, can you do it again? The Totemic Master on Shaman trying to carry against Minpoike's sneaky drinks. Fried Kitty gets pressured. Good counterspell here on Minpoike, interrupting his heals. Acro's feared up, but Erytros can't find the target. He's forced to go after the rogue instead. Fried Kitty is too far away. Acro backs off from Erytros. Erytros crosses the fight. they managed to do it on Dalaran Sewers despite us saying they're so far behind, and they could potentially do it again.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Windwalker Monks and Destruction Warlock, so much burst damage available. And Fried Kitty, he still doesn't have an Ice Block available for 2 minutes. Trinketing out of the leg sweep, and Poike still with the Iron Bark. Gets interrupted. Fried Kitty getting low. Can they take him down right now? Poike has to find some healing out of this. Incapacitate, follows it up. Storm, Earth, and Fire gets used by Volterix. He's looking to get aggressive. No more Blinks available for Fried Kitty. Just tanking it out with the Temporal Shield. If Eritros can find any damage here, they could take him down, but Acro denies with the kick into the kidney shot, slowing down all that Destruction Warlock damage.
They've managed to get Polymorph on Greggy into a Cyclone, and Eritros comes out of that unscathed with not even a cooldown trait to his name. And despite Minpoike resetting his mana, he's still struggling a bit as his mana is actually equaling out to Greggy's quite rapidly at 27% dampening. It's going to be really difficult. Eritros gets a fear, but Volterius is going after Acro instead of the target that has no cooldowns. They have to kill Eritros or Acro in crowd control, but they don't have enough damage to do it. He trades. Now Eritros gates to safety. Is it actually that safe? Acro's trying to cross. He gets feared and deflected for now. Greggy's managing to stay in it, still maintaining his mana despite all of this lead that Changed My Mind were able to establish. And Poike knows that he needs to keep going for drinks, otherwise Greggy might just outdo him.
Yep, and then Acro realizing he needs to buy Minpoike some time, decides to vanish off, but Acro is a really vulnerable target. He has no Trinket, no Cloak of Shadows, no evasion. Volterix puts his Touch of Death. I don't even know who that was on. It really didn't get too much done. Maybe on Acro as he vanished off, but that was a win condition for them. I think if Volterix was a little bit more patient there, they might have been able to close out the game just waiting for Iron Bark. Anything like that, they might have had overwhelming damage to close it out, but unfortunately a missed opportunity. Acro still kiting away. Greggy's mana not doing too bad as Minpoike once again sits down for a full reset.
All right, Minpoike, you've got full mana, but you don't got a lot of cooldowns. Neither player on the team has much. If they can just get damage, they can maybe sneak away with a kill. Chaos Bolt gets Shadow Step kicked by Acro. Acro really on point at those clutch moments where he would otherwise go down. Breaks up the chain, line of sights with Minpoike. They've established the mana lead. But Greggy did the same. He was able to get some mana in the tank, and CGN Gold still have opportunities here. They're all over Acro. Maledict activated by Greggy. Greggy MVP, both aggression and defense. Volterius, this might just be it. Acro doesn't have much. Is Iron Bark at this deep in a dampening going to be enough? Greggy says, this is enough. I'm going to lava burst you. I'm going to kill you myself. Even as the healer, he's trying to put Acro down in these final moments of the game, but Acro denies it time and time again.
Acro just dancing circles right now around CGN Gold, managed to escape with his life, but still at the cost of everything. He needs to hold on for another 10 seconds to have his Cloak of Shadows and evasion. Greggy's mana's doing quite well. Minpoike getting swapped to, forced to use the Bark Skin. The pressure from Volterix is immense. Vendetta does get used. Eritros responds with the Unending Resolve to avoid some of that damage, but with another full fear on Minpoike, Acro could be in some trouble, forced to trade out the Cloak of Shadows, and Acro is just having to play so defensive in this game.
I mean, at this point, he's running on fumes. He's got no evasion, no Cloak of Shadows. Those are important cooldowns to survive against both a Destruction Warlock and a Windwalker. Muggany has neither. Minpoike, no Gliders Medallion. One more fear, which is being casted. Could maybe close this out. No, he gets stopped by Acro once again. Acro just denies the kills left and right, trying to stay in this. They've got Eritros on the ropes. Greggy's got to make a decision. He's going to go for the safe play, trade Spirit Link Totem, redistribute the health of the team, and allow Eritros to counterattack. Chaos Bolts fly in. That Iron Bark needs to be enough, but at 45% dampening, will it is the case. Smoke Bomb defensively and offensively gets to interrupt some cast bars. I do actually really like Acro's Smoke Bomb usage, but Chaos Bolt sneaks in there. There's not much defense left. If Volterius can stay on target, they might just fall. Could be a cross kill. Eritros is likely to fall first. Greggy's got nothing. Acro could fall. Fist of Fury, Rising Sun Kick, not enough. It's Minpoike connects just enough healing in the final seconds to keep Acro afloat and keep themselves in the tournament. Changed My Mind, advance on match point.
Oh my goodness, it looked like we were going to have one of those cross kills. We keep getting close, but I just got to say, seeing a Shaman able to get this deep into the games, especially after the mana changes, it's so impressive.
Absolutely. Greggy is doing a phenomenal job keeping his team going, and he's really being tested here by such a high caliber team as well, and he's not faltering to any of these pressures. So an excellent job by him, of course. And one thing I could criticize him for, though, is that I think he should be the primary stopper of Mimpoike's drinks. I think he's the only one who can really actually go for those, chase Mimpoike a lot of the time. Whenever Acro and Fried Kitty isn't putting out as much pressure onto Aritros, when Mimpoike is going for those drinks, he should just chase Mimpoike. He's the one who has the totems, who can stop an AoE radius. He has a flame shock as well, of course, to kind of just dot up Mimpoike and stop him from actually drinking in stealth a lot of the time. So I think that that's the big thing that he could be doing better. He's not really a target that's going to get swapped to either. However, in this match, though, he did counter Mimpoike's drink with his own drink, so that was very nice. But unfortunately for CGN Gold, it just was too little too late there. The final seconds of the game, you can see here both teams just going completely all in. Aritros getting that big Chaos Bolt there in the end, but Acrolos activating the feint there at the last second before he goes off, keeping himself alive there, and that was very, very close. It's one of those games that just comes down to the final global. And this was, of course, also Tempo Storm, this was, of course, Change My Mind's map pick as well. This was the best map that they can select, and they almost fell. So this series is by any means not over.
Yeah, I think we can see a game get switched up here very easily. Very, very close in all the games so far. Ven, what do you expect to see when we do get into the next one?
Potentially Runes of Lordor on a smaller map. Mimpoike's not going to have as many LOS places where he can actually run and escape. And if Mimpoike does decide to go off and try to get some drinks, Fried Kitty and Acro are going to be very vulnerable in this matchup. So I think a nice small map could definitely work out for them.
Expect closer quarters here. We're going to see that in a few seconds as we do see the pick getting decided as well in our draft. Sid, how would you like to see Runes of Lordaeron? Oh, Blackrock
would be a fitting final resting place, but you know
it's not even the map, and you did it.
You know what? You fed me it. I had to take it. Okay. Blackrock Hold is a smart decision. It's very close quarters, and more importantly, when an enemy team is retreating, they likely retreat to one of 3 rooms. And when you're in that room, you're all stacked up. If you're a Windwalker monk, you love seeing people just bundle up together because you're like, hello, Fist of Fury, hello, leg sweep on 3 people. It can be really devastating. So this is a smart map selection by CGN Gold.
Okay, how does Change My Mind switch it up, get the win, close out this series, Zico? We know that it's an uphill battle for them on Blackrock Hold. They're going to be locking in their comp without complete information. How can they grab the win here?
I think Change My Mind just got to do more of the same. It's all about the synergy between the offense and the defense. Whenever Mimpoike is going for drinks, his team needs to have pressure. If his team does not have pressure, he is likely to get stopped on those drinks. Mimpoike has just got to keep going for them as well. Eventually, one of them will go through, and when it does, it's a big momentum swing. I want to see CGN Gold. I want to see Greggy chase Mimpoike more. He is not going to get swapped to, and because he has to die in a stun lock from the Rogue Mage, and the Rogue Mage, more likely than not, are not going to have the damage to actually take him down in that swap, because they're also going to free up Aritros in that case. So it's a risky play for them to make. Very, very unlikely to happen. So I want to see Greggy actually use that freedom that he has. He's not going to be affected by the snares. He has dots. He has AoE abilities to stop those drinks as well when Poike is in stealth. It's very easy for him to throw an Earthbind and affect an entire radius and hit Mimpoike that way. So I want to see him just chase Poike more whenever Aritros is actually fine. And I want to see Fried Kitty and Acro save their damage cooldowns for when Poike is going for those drinks.
Then we talk about how Cyclone becomes way more expensive now today when we do see the changes that have come through. How much is that going to affect a setup comp like Rogue Mage?
Well, normally what you see from a Frost Mage and a Resto Druid is the Frost Mage dragging the melee away, so that would be Volterix in this case, and Mimpoike can back him up. If Fried Kitty's getting destroyed, he's getting interrupted over and over, Mimpoike can just Cyclone him. All of a sudden, Fried Kitty can play a little bit more aggressive, but that's not what we're really seeing. And Mimpoike, instead of trying to Cyclone Volterix off, he's just trying to heal through the damage damage, and then also distracting CGN Gold. Like I said, it's a diversion tactic. When you're always running away, always looking for drinks, CGN Gold, they have to be looking for it the entire game. If they mess up one time and Poike is going to full mana, and that in itself is going to force Voltairix, Eritros, and Greggy to get off Fried Kitty, turn their attention on him and Poike, and stop them from doing damage.
Yeah, it really does change how we expect these games to play out. We've already seen it quite a few times. Now, with everything in front of us, how does CGN grab a win here and bring it to Game 5, Sid?
They just stay on top of Change My Mind. I think they're actually a lot more durable than they're letting off. They can play on top of the team and I think push a lot more aggressively. They did in that last game early on, and then that slowly started to wane away as maybe they felt more vulnerable in the fight. But I really think they can just hammer down, go in, execute a kill as soon as possible against Change My Mind, or at least stop Poike from resetting his mana and really just command the lead that way. They're playing a little bit timid in that sense. They have been aggressive, but not throughout the entire fight, and I think they can take more advantage of that.
As much as you call for more aggression here, would you agree with Zico that it is going to be on Greg to be stopping these drinks from Poike?
I mean, it definitely is. Earthbind Totem and Rain of Fire are basically the best abilities to deny a drink, as they both hit area of effect. However, if Rain of Fire is used, that costs soul shards. Chaos Bolts also cost soul shards, and you would much rather press Chaos Bolt on somebody than having to commit that resource on something to stop a drink, because you lose damage. So it really is up to Greggy. He's the newcomer in this tournament in general and for his team. He's playing with 2 BlizzCon competitors, but he's definitely putting on a good show and a good effort. He just has to stay consistent. Even in these long games, you might get fatigued. You might for a second just stop thinking about stopping the drink, and that's all Poike needs, because he's not going to stop. So if he could just keep it going, even despite the length of the match, he could definitely do it.
You know, this is a pretty darn good first performance, being on the Shaman right now, going toe-to-toe with the Druid in late dampening. The only real criticism, I think, Zico, you were the first one to point it out, is the fact that he hasn't been able to stop all of these drinks, and also the amount of drinks that you need to stop today is definitely increased over what we've seen. It's not something you're going to have as much practice with. You have to give the players, not only today, but throughout the entirety of the weekend, so much credit for how quickly they have adapted to these changes.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been... We haven't even seen Tolveron, and Poike is super thirsty. He's just out there drinking constantly, trying to get that mana, and that's the key thing as well. That's why, that's something we've seen even last week from Chaz, from Poike. They go for these drinks before they fall too behind, and that's a big mistake that you can make as a Druid. When you are on 20% mana, that's when you start going for the drink, not these guys. They're going to constantly look for opportunities to get those drinks when they're on 60% mana, 70% mana, and the reason why is if you don't get the drink, you still have some mana to keep on going and find a new opportunity to get that drink. And when you do get it, you're going to recover all of that mana. So it's better to go for multiple drinks than it is to go expend most of your mana bar and then try to get a big drink, even though it might seem a bit more logical in that sense.
Yeah, and Ven, the other thing with the drinks too is it still can create opportunities as well.
Yeah, it definitely can. I mean, you're forcing the team to chase you down, get distracted by stopping those drinks, and like we kind of saw in the last game, all it really takes is one drink to fully reset Poike's mana. Just one mistake. Well, Voltairix isn't paying attention to his positioning, and we saw one spinning crane kick right beside Poike, unfortunately not pulling him off. But going into game 4, once again, CGN Gold, we want to see more aggression from this team. They need to play on top of Change My Mind to actually close them out.
Greggy's showcasing that he can go toe-to-toe with the top players in Europe here today, but he needs to stay on point. Even despite the length of these fatiguing matches for him, he cannot even for a second miss an opportunity to stop Poike from drinking. Will he be able to carry the team on his back as Acro and Fried Kitty initiate the initial assault here? They get deflected by Infernals. Eritros looks to counter-engage. They actually commit a lot of Maledicts onto Eritros early on. I don't think it's going to really result in too much, as Acro is forced to retreat away. Voltairix is going to switch to different target out in the open, and this is definitely good coordination by both Eritros and Voltairix. But Fried Kitty knows the map. He's going to blink back into that room on the left corner. Acro is going to use center pillar to line of sight, and then Poike can heal both players, but he was actually out in the open, and a Chaos Bolt is going to close in there. Eritros needs to basically triangulate on whoever doesn't have a line of sight as much as possible to deal as much damage as he can to run Poike out of mana. Voltairix initiates crowd control with the paralysis, but it was preemptively Iron Bark from Poike. Really good, nice read there on his part, denying all the damage and equalizing his team's health.
Yeah, at the beginning of that game, we saw Vendetta from Acro, we saw Icy Veins from Fried Kitty, and the only defensive cooldown that they managed to pull out was the Earthen Shield Totem from Greggy, and that is just not enough with those offensives. So, good start for CGN Gold. Mortal Coil now on Fried Kitty as Eritros is looking to connect. Blink out of line of sight, nicely done by Fried Kitty, trying to avoid some damage. Frozen Orb gets dropped, Acro still all over him, manages to find the full kidney shot. Greggy deflects with the Earthen Shield Totem once again, and the pressure coming in from CGN Gold is quite good this game.
Acro wants to fight at or Eritros wants to fight at this ramp so he can drag Acro out of line of sight and maybe Chaos Bolt from on top. I like positioning here from Eritros, although maybe he should lay a Demonic Gateway so that when Change My Mind retreat, he can immediately continue the chase. At this point, mana is equal, but Greggy usually takes the lead unless Minpoike can sit down and regenerate. So keep your eyes on Minpoike if he's ever sneaking away. Currently, he's looking for Cyclones. That shit gets denied by Greggy. Greggy wants this desperately to stay in the tournament. If he loses this game, his team will be knocked out. Change My Mind will advance, and it's looking like it may be the case here. Acro gets punched down, tons of damage. But once again, Minpoike reads it and preemptively activates Iron Bark, soaking up a huge amount of this pressure. Acro's still on low health, though. Chaos Bolt's being casted. Iron Bark's defense has faded. Acro denies it with Kidney Shot. Polymorph snuck in by Fried Kitty. They've left him open. He's secured crowd control. Eritros uses Demonic Gateway to try and get to safety in the room with that Ring of Peace, denying Acro from reconnecting, constantly getting bounced back. But even still with the Ring of Peace, zoning them out, Eritros holds on at very low health. They switch to Greggy. They get him caught in a Kidney Shot. There's no backup. Actually, a Chaos Bolt snuck in. Acro definitely wanted to line of sight that. A bit of a misplay on his part. Now he's very low health and unable to keep up the chase.
I think Minpoike actually sat down for a drink there, resetting his mana, so that was nicely done. When his team has pressure, that's an opportunity for him to basically sneak away while Greggy, Eritros, and Volterix are distracted. Dark Soul gets used by Eritros, increasing his damage. Fried Kitty could be in a little bit of trouble here with the way Minpoike is positioned, just so far away, out of the fight. Very difficult for Eritros to actually land these fears, especially with Acro backing him up. Amazing kicks, line of sight from Fried Kitty, and the teamwork coming in from Change My Mind is really solid this game to avoid CGN Gold's damage.
I actually think Runes of Lordon would have been the better pick, not because I wanted to say my catchphrase, but because we saw in North America Maldiva's team implement a strategy. But in the meantime, Fried Kitty has to ice block. Finally, some pressure here for CGN Gold. Perhaps they can keep themselves in this tournament. In the meantime, counter aggression here by Acro. Vendetta activated, boosting his damage immensely. He can't stay on target, though, from Volterius' Ring of Peace. Finally sneaking in. Polymorph, though, secured. Could be a bit of a throwaway on Greggy's part. He had ways to deny that, and now has to make a cooldown trade, a massive one in fact, with Unending Resolve having a 3-minute cooldown. Quite a powerhouse one you can't afford to throw away, and Greggy's defense is starting to crack here. Change My Mind have an opening.
Yep, there definitely is an opening in this matchup for them. Eritros caught in midfield, still taking a lot of damage from this Assassination Rogue, but most of the damage has been used already from Change My Mind. Icy Veins down, Vendetta down. Eritros is going to feel quite comfortable pushing in, trying to get some counter pressure. They need to get the second ice block from Fried Kitty. He gets interrupted, whirling Dragon Punch, Chaos Bolt as well. Minpoike deflects with the Iron Bark to avoid some of that damage. Fried Kitty going to be kiting away, and now they turn their attention onto Acro with no evasion. Volterix going to be able to put out huge pressure. Touch of Death gets used. He could get bursted down. Eritros gets denied with the Kidney Shot. You can see Acro is going to be kiting away, uses the Vanish as well to escape some of that damage and really not allow them to get the damage that they needed to force Minpoike to spend more mana.
Mana has been more and more in favor of Greggy. Minpoike having a hard time here as he gets spell locked. Tons of damage on Acro. Well-timed Shadow Fury, Chaos Bolts. No Cloak of Shadows. Bit of a greedy move there by Acro as he is going to stay alive. Minpoike starts to stabilize, and now he can use Cloak of Shadows at a later time. But that cost a lot of Minpoike's mana to recover from that lack of trade. Now we see Acro re-engaging. Crowd control onto all three members of CGN Gold. Eritros isolated. This was the moment that Change My Mind have been setting up for the past minute and a half, but they get completely deflected by Volterius. Eritros reverses with a Fear, securing a Gliders Medallion, potentially an Ice Block. Volterius carrying hard at this moment in time.
Yep, Fried Kitty trying to get away. Minpoike, I think, was looking for a drink, but unfortunately able to find it. Fried Kitty just pressured so much. This is exactly what CGN Gold needs to do. They can't stop Minpoike from drinking drinking. They need to make sure that they have the counter pressure on Fried Kitty. Voltaire still putting pressure out onto Acro, really taxing Minpoike's mana, making sure he has to have hots on Acro as well as Fried Kitty to keep his team alive.
All right, Minpoike is completely tapped on mana. This is where Greggy comes in. He has to stop him. He's sitting down in midfield. No one sees him. Erytros is getting pressured. They have to stop his drink, but they're just not stopping it. They have to actually Spirit Link while Minpoike is drinking. It's almost bad manner by Change My Mind. They now have the mana lead just in time, moving into dampening. CGN Gold are trying to do something quick and get a kill. Fried Kitty's got cooldowns. They managed to at least get Ice Block despite that. Now a Hex during Ice Block. Nice timing there. He can't dispel Hex with D-Curse in Ice Block, so he just decides to cancel it and dispel the Hex, allowing Minpoike to heal, but maybe allowing himself to be vulnerable. Minpoike is sneaking away. Greggy sees him, but it's too little too late. They had to snipe him with a totem on that drink earlier. They could have closed the match up, but now it's anyone's game.
You have to give credit to Minpoike, though. Normally, a Resto Druid, he'll run across the entire map, then Shadow Meld and look for the stealth drinks, but Minpoike, in the middle of the battle, just uses the Shadow Meld, sitting down, and then it's not obvious where he's running and hiding to, as he's hiding in plain sight, but CGN Gold, they weren't able to find him, and now the big mana lead. Once again, Fried Kitty in a lot of trouble, though, as he gets low. Minpoike has to play catch-up. Do they have the damage to take him down? Fried Kitty blinks out of line of sight, trying to avoid Erytros. Acro switches to Voltairix as Fried Kitty finally makes his way back to Minpoike, getting caught up, but Voltairix still all over him. I think the kill attempt has been lost. Voltairix not going to be able to take him down in this situation. Fried Kitty blinks in once again, looking for the damage on Erytros. Sheep on Greggy. Ring of Peace gets used by Voltairix to keep him alive. Evan Bolt cast out, but doesn't get denied. Erytros still getting bursted down, but the damage just isn't there through Earthen Chill Totem.
Yeah, both teams stabilize, and actually Greggy's got the mana lead again. Somehow, some way, Greggy is keeping his team in the fight. Definitely the map advantage. If we do go to a Game 5, they will lose that, which is going to be critical for the rest of this series. Even though Greggy is battling his heart out, inevitably the setting of the final 5th game could be just enough for Change My Mind to reverse this series and stay in the tournament. Minpoike may need to try and find an opportunity to reset his mana. Greggy has to deny it. In the meantime, a Shadow Fury is preventing Minpoike from healing and getting away to drink. A Fear now as well by Erytros. Great crowd control. Acro on the ropes. Minpoike catches a quick Sifmend. Voltarius stays on target. And now Erytros gets denied on any damage. They drop Frozen Orb. They need to kill Erytros or force the on any resolve. Minpoike in the room here, off to the sides. Who is going to stop the drink is now the question. Greggy can't get over there. That Frozen Orb just holding him in place. He's trying to get around the corner to snipe him with the Earthbind Totem, but I don't believe he was able to. Minpoike keeps it cool, calm, and collected, resets his mana to full, and more than likely secures his team the match.
Yeah, that was a very nice drink from Minpoike. Fried Kitty with the Ice Block coming back up. That's going to make him very durable against CGN Gold. Acro, though, still at pressure point for their team. They might be able to take him down. Incapacitate on Minpoike. Can they turn it around? Acro shadow steps out of line of sight. Voltairix still all over him. Minpoike has no trinket. Got into a full fear, but Acro with the Vanish able to stay alive a little bit longer, giving Minpoike enough time to connect the heal overtime effect. Doesn't even trade out the Iron Bark, and Acro will survive due to beautiful kiting.
That Gladiator Safeguard paying off for Acro there, and I'm wondering if they should even try to kill Acro in this game. Every time they target him, he somehow manages to sneak away. Perhaps a different member of the team is who they should be going after. Currently, Minpoike and Fried Kitty under fire as Erytros initiates an assault here at 28% dampening. If they can stay aggressive and on top of them, maybe they can just bully them into the ground. Acro gets swapped to again. Voltarius moves in, now moves to Fried Kitty. Erytros needs to get in line of sight. Chaos Bolt cast, does not get blinked. Fried Kitty blinks late, now has to Ice Block. Misplay on the part of Change My Mind. Now they flip-flop over to Acro. He has been isolated by Erytros' fear. This is the aggression I wanted to see from CGN Gold. Great crowd control, great swaps, tons of damage as Fried Kitty looks likely to go down. The only thing keeping them going was Minpoike's drinks earlier in the fight. He looks for a defensive Cyclone, gets it. They sneak in the Polymorph. Now maybe they can reverse for a kill on Erytros. It's looking good so far with that counter spell well placed. Maledict's in reverse as Erytros tries to counter aggress, but a Cyclone. Trinket Spirit Link Totem. Now they trade equally. This could even be a cross kill moving forward, but Greggy's on the ropes. Look at his team. How's he going to recover, Ben?
I don't know. Acro still has a Vendetta. Erytros is going to be in a lot of trouble. He pulls the trigger. Erytros getting lower. Acro in the meantime also taking quite a bit of damage. both teams on the rope. CGN Gold trying to survive one last assault coming in from Change My Mind. Greggy holding on by a thread. Aerotrust barely surviving, tanking the Frozen Orb, looking for Fierce. Greggy gets interrupted. Do they have the damage to take Aerotrust down? Acro and Fried Kitty still with relenting pressure eventually take Aerotrust down and close out the series 3-1.
Yeah, beautifully done as well. And already we're just seeing how many different options you do have today. We see Change My Mind going for these longer games. Minpoike taking advantage of any opportunity he does have to get drinks. How much do you think they're going to be able to play strategies like this, though, throughout the entirety of the tournament? We already do know they are facing elimination for the rest of it.
I think it's a solid strategy. It's just the synergy between all of these three classes. The Rusted Druid can sneak off for these drinks time and time again. And while you're drinking as a Rusted Druid, which is something that we haven't really mentioned, you have heal over time effects, keeping your team kind of on the offense still. So whenever there's a polymorph on Greggy, whenever there's a kidney shot on Aerotrust, that's an opportunity for Minpoike to sneak away, Shadow Melt, go for that drink. He's going to have healing over time effects on his mage and his rogue, keeping them offensive for a little bit longer so he can drink for a little bit longer as well. And it's just that nice synergy there. And then, of course, the Frost Mage as well, slowing down all the people that are trying to stop that drink is very, very key. Frost Mage is also just a very durable target right now, can deal with melees very, very effectively, can slow down people like we mentioned. And, of course, the Rogue as well, putting out a lot of pressure, slippery target. It's an all-around good composition for this purpose if you play this way.